Your heart beats a little bit faster, trying to think about where your phone went. But even then, there's no pause for you until you're reunited with it. A lot of people at this point are already thinking about the worst case scenario. So, what can you do if you find yourself in this predicament with your Android device? Well, we recently checked out a couple of solutions, so maybe there's still hope.
So as the thief, one of the tests we did was that I took John's phone and walked a few blocks away without telling him where I was going. And he had to find out where I went using just the apps. He was able to get to my same block, which is good, but once he was there, he had no idea where I was, even with him picking the phone and making it remotely ring.
Our first course of action was to use Android Device Manager, and lucky for us, we had a second phone to help track it down. So all you need to do is install the app, and from there you can do all the usual things. You could locate it on a map, lock the phone if you don't have a password on there already, and even remotely wipe it as a worst case scenario. Another solution is to use a third-party anti-theft app, which in our case we use Cerberus. The nice thing about this one is that it's far more comprehensive. In addition to what Android Device Manager offers, we can use it to spy on our thief. That means we can snap photos and videos using either of the phone's cameras. There's actually one neat option with Cerberus. You could actually send a message to your lost phone. It'll display it on there, and the neat thing about it too is that it'll actually read it out loud.
This app is insane.
While it's wonderful to use, the downside to Cerberus is that you'll need to install it on the first day of using your phone. And this brings us to its major flaw, which is that unless you've done your research and had prior experience with losing your phone, then this solution won't do a darn thing when it happens to you unexpectedly. Going back to Android Device Manager, we soon realized that tracking down the phone in New York City wasn't going to be easy. The app just couldn't trace the phone's last known GPS location. However, it seems as though it finally picked it up once a thief started to move away from us, and we noticed that they went a block away from our position. Once we got close to the general vicinity of where the app was telling us, the problem we came across was that the location could have been in some building, 50 floors up from the ground even. And sure, we can activate the phone to ring, but when you're in a noisy spot like we were, it's nearly impossible to hear.
At best, both apps can only get you to the general location of your phone, like an address. And then you have to rely on making the phone ring remotely, which if you're in the middle of a crowded city street in Manhattan, or even if you're in a different building, could be pretty useless. I watched him look around for a full minute before just walking up to him and giving him back his phone, which I doubt any thief is actually gonna do. So even though both apps can be useful if you set it up correctly before you lose your phone, you're still gonna need a good amount of luck to get it back.
So yeah, we came to the realization that if you lose or have your Android phone stolen, the chances of you tracking it down and subsequently finding it in a big city is pretty slim. We know it sucks, but we've already explained some of the logistical issues. Chances are too, most people are carrying only a single phone, so they won't have the luxury of tracking it down with another phone right away. So where does that lead most people? It means they'll need to access Android Device Manager or Cerberus through a PC. Again, timing is crucial when it comes to successfully getting your phone. But if you can't get to a computer in time, your phone might be long gone. Now to be fair, Android Device Manager is a great tool to use if you accidentally leave it at home, or at a friend's house, or even a place in general you can't recall. That's because you're not thinking worst case scenario just yet. You can access Android Device Manager to reaffirm your speculations. When your hunch is strongly telling you that you left it by accident at a place you can recall, the confirmation you get from logging onto your account helps to eliminate further worry. The best advice that we can give you about all of this is to go ahead and set up a password of some kind when you first set up your smartphone. Fingerprint verification is ideal, but regardless, any lock is better than none. A thief can attempt to enter your password, but after so many failed attempts, usually 10, Android by default resets the phone. And when they go through the initial setup process, it asks for the password of the previous account on there.
So if you don't want to lose your phone for good, you should probably take preemptive action now. That means downloading all the right apps and going through all the settings, because trying to find a phone with no previous setup is pretty much impossible. The two apps we were testing were Android Device Manager and Cerberus, which both worked but were pretty glitchy. And they both only show your phone as a blue dot on a map, which John and I realized was going to be an issue when we saw that we were standing in the middle of Manhattan.
And like we said, it's best to have some sort of password protection on your phone, because that, folks, is the first line of defense that can save you from intruders trying to do more than just steal your phone. So there you go, guys. That was our experience trying to track down a lost phone in New York City. If you guys want to learn more about any of the stuff we talked about in this video, you can check out our website, androidauthority.com. This is John V, signing off.